Hey, have you thought the iPhone is perfect, but there's one thing missing, and that is 12 gigs of RAM? No? Well, Apple's giving us 12 gigs of RAM on every iPhone 17. So yes, early rumors had said only the Pro phones would get 12 gigs of RAM, and that made sense because in the past Apple's given us more RAM on the Pro devices, and those are the Pro phones for the techies. But it seems Apple's now giving us 12 gigs on every model. So yes, according to Instant Digital and Minshew Quo, we could see 12 gigs of RAM on the iPhone 17, 17 Air, 17 Pro, and 17 Pro Max. Nothing has been confirmed though, because depending on supply shortages, this upgrade may be delayed and the base 17 may not get 12 gigs of RAM. But it would be nice if the complete range got this. I know a RAM upgrade's not the most exciting change, but this will help future-proof the devices. It also helps with multitasking of course, but more importantly for Apple, this helps with AI, which of course they're going to continue shoving in our faces. Apple Intelligence is the next big thing, and so more RAM is going to be very handy for that. Next, let's talk about colors. And if you don't care about slightly different looking shades of grey, don't worry, we have news about more substantial upgrades as well. So diving in, John Prosser tells us he's seen a silver, black and white iPhone 17 Pro, though he's unsure if these colors are final, and also there's a blue iPhone 17 Air. Now I do want to mention colors are something that are finalized a little later I believe, once mass production is in full swing, and so what Prosser says could be wrong, and I low-key hope it is wrong, because I've been hoping and praying that with the switch to aluminium with iPhone 17 Pro, we could see more exciting colors with the Pro phones, and silver, black and white are not that. I'm sure Apple is going to offer a standard black and white option as always, but I hope that similar to the regular phones, we do see more bright shades of red, green or blue on the Pro models, as it's much easier to colour aluminium than titanium. The blue iPhone 17 Air sounds nice though, I hope it can live up to ultramarine on the 16, but I want those punchy colours on the Pros. Prosser also says the Pro Max will just be a bigger version of the Pro, and some may be thinking he's just stating the obvious, but actually we have heard news the 17 Pro Max may have a smaller island that doesn't come to the regular Pro. In previous years the Pro Max has sometimes gotten exclusive features, but that would usually be camera related, and so it seems that this earlier rumour about a smaller dynamic island coming to the iPhone 17 Pro Max is false according to John Prosser. To be fair, I always thought it made no sense the Pro Max only adopted that because whenever we do see a smaller island, I'm expecting both models to get a visual refresh. Now let's talk about the glass that Apple's going to use in iPhone 17 Pro. Leaker Instant Digital has told us the glass on these iPhones are not only getting more scratch resistant, but they're also going to have an anti-reflective coating, which is going to make a big difference outdoors. This actually is already available on the Galaxy S24 and S25 Ultra, and you can see how much of a difference it makes. And so yes, I'm very excited about this upgrade. Now a more scratch resistant display would also be great because ever since Apple introduced ceramic shields, literally the air can manage to scratch the display, and so durability improvement is always appreciated, but I can't lie, I'm more excited about the anti-reflective coating. You know what else would be exciting? If you click that subscribe button. It's free and it'll bring you the latest about Apple right to subscription box, so please consider it. Join the Saranbyte gang now. If you're hoping to see faster charging iPhones, we have news that won't be the case with iPhone 17. Analyst Jeff Pugh tells us the complete iPhone 17 range will support 35 watt wide charging, which is about the same as the iPhone 16 series. I know some may be bummed out by this considering lots of Android phones support 50 watt charging speeds, but honestly I'm not too annoyed by this. I'd much rather Apple give us larger batteries that improve the endurance and make these phones last longer, in which case you would only have to charge overnight anyway, and we've actually had rumours regarding that. Because according to leaks, the iPhone 17 Air may be one of the first iPhones to use a higher density battery. Now it makes sense to use this technology with a device that will naturally have space constraints because it's going to be so thin, and so a high density battery allows a lot of energy to be stored within a small physical space, allowing Apple to possibly still fit in a 4,400 mAh battery in this iPhone, which won't be too bad considering the Plus has a 4,674 mAh battery. This combined with the fact we should see the very efficient C1 modem means battery life should still be solid on the Air, which is good to see because I'm sure some would have concerns about the battery life with such a thin device. And it's not just the Air gaining a larger battery, the Pro Max also is getting a battery boost. Leaker Ice Universe mentions the device will be getting even thicker, with it now being 8.25mm in thickness, which is a 0.475mm increase due to a larger battery battery. Now I do wonder if it's only the Air using the higher density technology of the complete range is getting this upgrade. I'm guessing because it's new technology, only the Air's getting this for now. But since there's no space constraints as such with the Pro Max because it's much thicker, they can just pack it to the brim with a humongous regular lithium-ion battery. We don't have specific million power batteries just yet, of course, but the 16 Pro Max has a 4,685 million power battery, and so maybe iPhone 17 Pro Max jumps to 4,800 million powers, and so yeah, we're slowly getting closer to a 5,000 million power iPhone. By the way, I would expect the regular iPhone 17 and 17 Pro to also get battery upgrades. Now let's move to the camera. So according to John Prosser, Apple's going to introduce a new feature where you could record from the front-facing and rear-facing camera at the same time. I say new in quotations because I'm pretty sure you could do this natively on the Galaxy S4, a phone from 2013. So it's nice Apple's finally catching up with the competition, but what's funny is that apparently this simple feature is going to be a Pro exclusive. I understand they want to tout the Pro phones more as a content creation machine, and a feature like this is most useful for creatives, but it's also something the base model should easily be able to do, so I'm really hoping they don't software lock this to the Pro phones. By the way, I am aware that third-party applications like Snapchat already allow you to do this, but natively offering this would be great as well, and as I said, it is about time. Now let's talk about the new telephoto on iPhone 17 Pro. So for those unaware, we have heard a lot about a new 48 megapixel telephoto lens coming to this year's iPhone. This was the last lens still on 12 megapixels, as the main camera had moved to 48 megapixels with the 14 Pro, and the ultra-wide lens had moved to 48 megapixels with the 16 Pro. Now with the telephoto switching to 48 megapixels, Apple plans to apparently offer 3.5x optical zoom instead of the 5x currently offered on the 15 and 16 Pro Max. You may think this sounds like a downgrade, but 3.5x optical zoom is equivalent to 85mm, which is better suited for portraits, and that's what most use the telephoto for in the first place. Also do remember, like the main 14 megapixel sensor with its 2x digital crop, having a high resolution telephoto means digital zoom will be a lot better, and you can still zoom in and get higher resolution photos with this new 17 Pro. You get a max of 25x digital zoom on the 16 Pro Max, so maybe expect this to be 30 or 40x with the 17 Pro Max, whilst offering higher quality photos at those higher zoom levels. Now let's delve into new cases showing us the ginormous camera module on the 17 Pro. These case leaks come courtesy of Sonny Dixon, who's a pretty credible source, and the cases themselves aren't very exciting. They're just regular clear cases that support MagSafe. However, you can see there is a cutout that spans the entire width of the device, and that's going to encompass the triple lens camera on the left, but the LiDAR scanner, mic and flash will now move to the right side. By the way, if you're wondering why Apple is giving us such a massive camera bump on this year's iPhone, I think it does come down to the new telephoto lens. Obviously, the telephoto will have to be stacked sideways into the device, and so this larger telephoto may need more space, hence why they're moving the LiDAR, mic and flash to the right and giving us this much bigger camera bar. Now, the regular iPhone 17 doesn't look very different and is near identical to the iPhone 16, but we do actually see the 17 Air in a new leaked image, and actually Sonny Dixon had also shared a case for the 17 Air previously, which shows the visor design similar to Pixel devices, and we see that in this leaked image as well. However, you can see there will only be one camera lens on the left side of the device, and the mic and flash will be on the right. Now, there is no cutout below the camera bar on the 17 Air, which does make me think the back panel is going to be completely glass, similar to current iPhones, and only that camera bar could be aluminium. Also, I'm very glad to see MagSafe is here, because I'm sure many were worrying that this might be too thin to fit MagSafe, but thankfully that's not the case. The 17 actually has space for the action button as well as camera control, so yes, despite it being 5.5mm in thickness, you still get flagship hardware features, even though camera control is pretty useless, so I wouldn't have cared if they removed it. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments, make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this, and thank you for watching.